Hey, hello, it's Laura Jacobs. I'm here with you to welcome you to this Blue Diamond group. I don't know if we should call ourselves the BDs, but I just first want to start out and congratulate you on becoming a diamond. That's so exciting. Don't you just feel amazing that you've achieved the rank of doTERRA Diamond? And so as you stop and pause and reflect and savor your success, which you need to do, right? It's such an opportunity to look to your past and see where you've been and what you've learned as you're looking ahead. And so our time together will be spent doing an overview so we can ground ourselves in what we know so we can make an incredible plan for how to move forward into your Blue Diamond. So I want to present an idea to you. Some time ago, we did an event called Gold Rush, which was for up-and-coming golds, and it was a group of silvers and premiers, which of course is really important to you because if you're going to achieve Blue Diamond, right, what are you made of? You're made of premiers and you're made of gold. So this is our audience. These are the people that we're inspiring in order to get you to your rank. And as I spoke to this audience, one of the things that I wanted to really encourage them with was, oftentimes we go to trainings and we get all kinds of information and it's so good, right? It's so good. And yet we don't really know what to do with it. So one of the things I want to establish together is a bit of a foundation, or maybe what we could call kind of a filing system for ideas, so that we're starting together with what we call principles, so therefore you can develop what will be your best practices. The beauty of our business is that there's this art to the action that we engage in. And so the action, we talk about making it duplicable. Is it easy for other people to duplicate? But if it becomes so duplicable, then it's mechanical, and then it's not fun, it doesn't have your personality in it, right? So what I want to work on together, again, is this foundation of thinking so we can form that structure and those boundaries, which creates this super healthy environment for us. Well, then we can be creative, and then our personalities can come out, and we can be ourselves. And I get to hang out with a lot of presidential diamonds, and one of the things I would tell you is this: there's no two alike. That's really encouraging, right? Because it doesn't mean you have to be a certain brand or a certain type of personality. They are all types. And to me, that speaks to the wonderment of what we're about, that each person moved into doing this their way with their personality. But I also will tell you that every single one of us have identified that there's been certain patterns or structures or strategies or systems that we've held to and helped our team stay the course of so that we had that duplicable structure. So I want you to be thinking about both of those things as we talk. Now, one other aspect that I want to lay out for us is that success is fueled by certain things, right? So we think about kind of like a tiered approach. First, we have our heart set or our mindset that nurtures our action, drives us to go and do, and then that action, of course, produces results. And so I want to make sure that what we understand is that our belief is what actually fuels our action. Whatever we believe to be true is what causes us to act. So let's go over a few principles together that as I've hung out with diamonds over the years, I've just found that these things have become super valuable to them as they're moving into their Blue Diamond to help them really have that solid foundation of thinking. So here's the first thing I want to present to you. And that is that we have what we like to call an age of development process. So perhaps you're a parent and you have children, or you've been a child and now you're an adult and you understand this process. If we start out and we're little babies and then we grow into toddlers and then children and then teenagers and young adults, and then we finally, move out of the house and all that. And right now at my house, we have all of those things going on because we have a brand new grandbaby who's just perfect and wonderful but can't do a thing for himself, right? Except for, a few activities. And then we have the granddaughter who's in that toddler stage. And of course, comparing the two of them as brother and sister, you see this incredible difference in their capacity. And yet that little toddler is still super dependent on her parents and grandparents or whoever to get most of her needs met. And then, you go into the children process, and at our house, our kids are all growing up and moving out, but we have one left who's a teenager and still in high school, and then all of our other children are young adults and moving on and starting their lives. So I love this comparison where we get to take a look at real life and then real life inside of our team and our business. And so as you think about age of development, now let's associate that to rank. When somebody is becoming, for example, an elite, how old are they really, right? When you become an elite in doTERRA or a premier in doTERRA, how old are you really? So I'm just going to pull up my chart here and look at my glasses to make sure that I make the proper associations and talk about what we're thinking here. So an elite is like a toddler. So when somebody is an executive or a director, they're just a baby, right? They can't do a whole lot of things for themselves. Like they're not going to run a team training, for example, right? They're just learning how to enroll someone, just like a baby's just learning how to eat. And then when they hit elite, they go into a toddler stage, so much more capable, seriously, but still really dependent on upline for certain support in order for them to thrive. And then as they move into a premier, now we're going into child and a gold, a teenager. And so I love this concept. So by the time you're hitting diamond, we actually hold you in the space of, you ready for this? You're held in the space of an adult. A platinum is like that young adult. A diamond is an adult. So a blue diamond is considered like a middle-aged adult, and a presidential, an elderly adult. So here you are, you're an adult, you've moved out of the house, you've started your own family, got your own legacies and movements you're creating, and you're supposed to know more, right? And then as you go into that blue diamond, same thing. But remember that the people that you're coaching, that you're dependent on to hit your rank, they're not in that same space. So I want to make sure that our first principle we take away from this conversation is, one, we need to keep our activities and our trainings rank appropriate, so that when we're speaking to that audience, then we're speaking to where they're at. We're meeting them where they are, which is just so essential, because if we're talking over their heads and principles that they haven't like caught on to yet, then we can cause discouragement or overwhelm. So we want to stay really, really rank appropriate in what we're addressing. Now, with that in mind, well, then what is rank appropriate, right? What are you supposed to teach each one of those levels? And so we've developed, some of us that work together in creating training tools, what we call the belief pyramid. And I love the belief pyramid. Like, this just rocks my world, because it helps breathe a lot of life into what are we doing here at each level? Because I would tell you that's been one of the great mysteries for many of us as we've moved up in rank. It's become less and less clear, like just exactly what am I supposed to be doing at this stage in my doTERRA advancement. And so I'm sure you're asking yourself some of those same questions. Here you are at diamond, yay, and going to blue diamond, yay, and what are you supposed to be doing? So let's talk through this idea of rank appropriate training and what would that look like. So let's start out with some of the babies, right? The toddlers. And so when someone's going for elite, right? So they're coming from brand new director executive into an elite position, they're becoming a toddler, right? When they hit that stage, what is their curriculum at that stage? What are we focused on? So for an elite, honestly, they're focused on believing in the product, right? They're just using the product. They're learning to become a product of the product. And as they do, they just can't keep it to themselves. They have to share it. And so they naturally start sharing, because there's people around them that they know are going to be totally like loved up and bettered because they were willing to share. So that's where we're focusing with them, right? We want to make sure that their bottom line foundation to their belief system, it must be based on product. If they haven't fallen in love with the product and have a belief in product, then there can be some struggles, because you have to have the courage and the belief to open your mouth and share with someone else about this product. And so you've got to be coming from a space of belief, which comes from using. Okay, now let's move to premier. And again, this is a significant role for you, because your golds that will make you blue will be made up of premiers. So what's the curriculum then for a premier? Okay, so they've had their first classes or presentations, and they're believing in the product and all that, and maybe they actually got a paycheck, right? Of course, they got some fast start bonuses and money starts coming in, and so they're like, hey, this is working for me, and they decide, I want to take this to the next level. So the next level of belief that's got to be established at the level of premier is a belief in the company and the opportunity, because now they're going to, in turn, in order to become a premier, you in turn now need to turn and help people become executives on the way to elite, right? So premier takes 2 executives. What's it going to take? So they're now going to maybe take that stage a little bit more. They're going to be helping that up and coming executive to elite teach classes, to do presentations, to do 3-way calls. And so they're going to take more of a lead in the position of presenting. So here, again, our belief is focused on believing in the company and the opportunity, built on our belief in product. And the focus would be for them now to become more comfortable at presenting. That elite person going elite, they're becoming comfortable just with sharing and inviting, and that's perfect for them. That's age appropriate. Now, somebody's got to start telling those stories and teaching those principles. So the focus is presenting on both product and opportunity at that premier level. So as you're nurturing those elites that help make you diamond, and now you're helping them become premier in order to hit your blue, this is going to be a big focus. Okay, so the next rank is silver, and you obviously have some of those. That's how you hit diamond. By the time somebody's going for silver, it's really already they're ready to make more of a commitment to being a pro. This is more of a level of commitment. They're really a leader for the first time in doTERRA in the leadership pools, and they're being treated that way. They have a team, and they've got 3 people who've achieved the rank of elite. And so we look here now to more of a level of commitment to the profession as being part of their focus, which looks like then continuing the process of presenting and helping to support the people beneath them to grow. Now their belief needs to become more in themselves. They get to really see themselves in this opportunity. They get to see themselves leading what's happening on their team and in their community. And most of all, we all are in charge of a culture. So I hope you've taken the time to think about what is the culture on your team. And your silvers, you and your 4 silvers are a huge part of what creates your team culture. And each of them now, as they start teams, are at the helm of their culture. And all of our cultures start with us. We're at the beginning of our culture. So this is a time for them to become more and more comfortable in their own skin. They've been using the product for some time. They've been teaching about the product and presenting for some time, and they're just becoming more comfortable at doing what they're doing, which now leads us to our golds. Okay, so now we have a gold, and people are going for gold, which again is what you're focused on for your people to help you hit your rank. Okay, so I'm going to take a look now to remind myself exactly the curriculum for the gold. Okay, so here we are now. We're silver. We've chosen in. We're more committed. We're going pro. And so now, what are we focused on creating? So your silvers going gold. What is the curriculum for them? Well, right now it's really time to be thinking about duplication. This is when more legs are popping out on their team. This is a big focus for them. So how are they going to go about doing that? Well, they've got to be really focused on creating a team environment. So you really want to encourage yourself as you're working with your silvers as they're becoming gold. Create a real team environment that you're working together. It's not you doing things and you're just dripping it down line and telling them what to do. You guys are working together. I like to think of it as a board of directors and involve those silvers early. They want to be experts. They want to be featured on stage. They want to gain confidence. They may not act like they do or say they do, but they really, really do, right? And in order to get where they are, they had to develop some sense of like, I can do this. And that needs to be featured. Because now your big curriculum going gold is you've really got to believe in these people as builders, right? You've really got to believe that your silvers are going to gold with you, right? And so they've got to have confidence now in their builders, okay? So going gold, looking down at these 3 elites, they've so far dabbled, right? And now we're asking them to move into a premier level where they're going to be confident in presenting the opportunity. And so their focus has got to be on those elites turning premier and treating them like builders. And so what you do with your builders will very much help them see what they need to do with theirs. And so be really mindful of that and work together in your cluster so they can in turn do that in their cluster. For a long time, I chose to function as the child, and I had really amazing upline, and I would do lots of things with them with events and all kinds of things, and I always appreciated that partnership. But I realized at a certain point, kind of around the time I was turning Blue Diamond into my presidential sprint, that my leaders were not having the same opportunities as I was having with my upline. And so I kind of cut myself off from a lot of that activity and said, hey, love you, love what I've been experiencing, but it's time for me to give my builders the same opportunity. If I always remain the child, then they remain like little babies, right? So that doesn't serve. And so that's been one of the grandest things I think I ever chose to do, is really work collectively with my builders so that they were in that space of moving up. And recently just ended an era of team webinars, not because our webinar was broken, it wasn't, it was incredible, but because if I keep holding the space for that, then the next generations, they don't ever have a turn. So my leaders keep functioning with me as kids. Well, when do they get to be the grown-up, and when do their kids get to rise, to the occasion? So really important to pass on that duplication pattern. Now, we'll just kind of roll through platinum. You're now, the community is starting to swell. You're super mindful of your customers, your customer culture, and your business culture. Moving into diamond, really, it's the curriculum here is leading a movement. By the time you're diamond, we talk about your why being the belief that you're really adhered to is, just your why is not only infused in you and what you've done, but it's infused in your people. Like they've bought your why and they're with you. And that's super necessary to hit diamond and stay diamond, is the culture has become an energy unto itself, and we're taking a message out to the world, and people want to be a part of that. And so be sure to sustain that, right, on your team so people can feel that. And again, you're in turn training your people to come up through that same pathway. So make sure there's a strength there. So an example, years before I came to doTERRA, I had a certain tagline that I had used in my practice, and it became the tagline for my team. And it's so alive and well, not only in my own team, but it grew into my uplines team and even into the doTERRA family as a whole. And it actually is where oil in every home came from. It's a hybrid of the tagline that we used in our team, and it was infused massively through our culture from day one. And people bought that culture. They bought that movement. They wanted to be part of it. So be more cognizant of that and make sure it's alive and well on your team. Okay, you ready for you? Blue Diamond, what beliefs, what's our curriculum there? So at this point, really what you get to believe in is your influence, your ability to influence this incredible community of people that you've created with your movement as you've hit your diamond. And so be cognizant again of that, is what is your influence? I remember, oh my gosh, times like doing webinars and maybe one time I made a slightly political statement. Well, let me tell you, I never did that again, because I started to become super aware of my influence and how many people were listening to what I was saying and what was appropriate when I was in my doTERRA world, what wasn't. And so many people would come to me and say, oh, I learned this from you, and they would repeat back. I could meet somebody on my 15th level who I've never met, never know if they're listening to anything, come back and repeat back to me training that's been infused through my team. So as you're driven by your why and that heartfelt desire to lead a movement, now you become super aware to go to your blue diamond that you have amazing influence. Diamond is an important rank, and blue diamond only increases that. So being very focused on, and I'm trying to make you anal about it or anything, but just be aware, right? Like I'm reading a book right now called Leaders Eat Last. And over and over and over again in that book, he talks about how the leader infuses influence into their culture and the dynamic differences. I highly recommend it as a great read for you, so you can really have a feel for how that works and what an impact it can make on your group. Okay, a couple more things about Blue Diamond is now we're really working on cultivating a culture of empowered leaders. So again, you're not doing everything for everyone. Do people on your team who are builders and leaders have a role that's empowering them? Are you giving them a chance to be on a stage, participate in a training, be featured on a webinar or a call, be an expert in something? So not only are we building leaders in rank, but we're empowering leaders to really have a sense of their own leadership and their own ability to influence, right? And then lastly, I love this part about a blue diamond, is there's really a principle of diligence here. You're in an interesting space as you move into your leadership on your way to presidential. And there's this autonomy that starts to grow as you become a significant leader. And so self-governing is very important at this stage. In order for you to grow and mature all the way to that presidential diamond, we get to learn to become someone who's great at self-governing, who's great at diligence, who's great at staying the course. And I see a lot of people hit diamond. They're making more money than they've ever made in their lives before. Their plate is full as far as managing people, because maybe they haven't actually increased in their ability to manage the activities of your life. This is critical. So make it very much a part of not only the influence and the leadership you bring, but are you capable of managing your activities? Self-governing, diligence, discipline, these are really big characteristics that you're developing at this stage. Is it time to hire someone to clean your house? Is it hire someone to mow your lawn? One of the things we would always teach is if it's a $12 an hour job, you shouldn't find yourself doing it, right? Where can you empower your children? I love leaders who've gone to their family and said, we have this huge goal and we want to accomplish this together, and it's going to take teamwork. And maybe it's going to take a year of sacrifice, but here's some carrots, down the road, we're going to take this trip, or we're going to be able to accomplish this family goal. And enroll spouses and children into that accomplishment to work together, because they will be very much a part of that discipline. You don't hit diamond on your own. You usually need some support, and that's going to increase as you grow, and these are some of the things you want to stay focused on. So as you put all these things together in your mind, again, what we're focused on here is remembering as we move on in our career and our leadership that we need to recognize where each person is in our influence, that we need to meet them where they are, give them age-appropriate training and encouragement so they can simply grow to the next level. We're not trying to get them to go from an elite to a presidential. It's about helping them go from elite to premier. that advancement, that focus. And at the same time, understanding what beliefs, or what I like to call curriculum, would best serve them at that stage, and being mindful of that, focused on it, and keep it simple. I really believe that when we focus on the one thing at each level, or what's called essentialism, or your A1 project, or whatever time management theory or expert you want to adhere to, they're all magnificent. They always teach that we want to focus on that one thing. So I hope you found some treasures in understanding the belief levels and the curriculum that we would focus on each of those ages, and that brings a lot of clarity to you as you strike forward and strive forward to become that much more of the leader that you are. And remember how you'll grow. Today, you are not the person that will achieve that blue diamond rank. You will become that person. Enjoy every step. Enjoy every pain, growing pain. It's totally worth it. Embrace it. And I welcome you to the person you will become.